Okay, smile. Welcome, Blue Key Heads, for the class of 2020. I'm so grateful all of you could join me in From the Cubby today. As Andover student spirit leaders, you have been called upon to lead in unusual ways this spring. It is often said that Andover is cultivating the leaders of tomorrow, for sure. And as you know, I like to describe Andover's concept of leadership, in which it is clear that we are cultivating and nurturing the leaders of tomorrow. And yet, Andover and our students are educated in such a way that they are prepared to lead when they are called upon to lead. And you have certainly been called upon to lead during this time. Your leadership has been so important. Let's go around and let me ask each of you to just say your name and your hometown and describe how you have been leading during this challenging time in your family or with classmates or in your community. I'll start with Hewitt.
So I'm Hewitt. I'm from Stone Mountain, Georgia. And while I haven't been able to leave the house much, I've been trying to lean into the things that I can still do really well while I'm at home. I've always loved to bake, and if I can make my family's day a little better by them waking up to muffins, I can do that. Or I can go out and pass a ball with my sister, and I can still call my friends and make sure I'm being a good friend. So I've been leaning into all that stuff as much as possible.
That's great. Jake, how are you doing?
I'm good. My name is Jake Jordan. I'm a day student from Andover, and throughout this time, a lesson that I've kind of learned to keep close is to just kind of control what you can control. So with that said, I've kind of been working on a lot of creative stuff. I've done a couple projects around the house for myself. I made a new Blue Key Head plaque that's supposed to pass down through the box of all the outfits that we have. And then I'm also running a YouTube channel with Jed for our video class, and making videos is something I love to do. So that's one way I've been able to fill my time and kind of spread some positivity around, make people laugh. So
good job.
That's what I've been up to.
Thank you. I got to tune into that YouTube channel. Jackie, how about you?
I've been good. I'm Jackie, everyone. I'm from Bedford, New Hampshire. And similar to Hewitt, I've really kind of been incorporating my love for baking and cooking. And I've been trying to make food for my family. My brother has been home, and he is obsessed with kind of he's bulking up, as I should say. So he'll always have me come up, make him lunch. And then also I've been connecting with my family and making the most of our time at home together. So usually every night we'll watch a movie or a TV series.
Oh, that's fun. That's great. It sounds lovely, actually. Nice and homey. And how about you, Lily? What have you been doing?
I haven't been doing a whole lot. I've been trying to stay connected. It's a good time to spend time with my family. So I've been, hanging out with my brothers. I'm building a cornhole set with my dad. So that was nice because we don't get a lot of time to spend together when I'm at school. Oh, I'm Lily, by the way. I'm from Foxborough. And yeah, just, trying to do my part in staying home and, spending time with my family. That's about it.
Great. And how about you, Jed?
Hi, my name is Jed Steele. I'm from Bedford, New Hampshire, just like Jackie. And I've been spending my time, I've been inspired by my electronic music class. I've kind of learned there's this program Logic. I've been learning how to make music and kind of teaching myself the ins and outs of that. And also I'm working with Jake with my film class and our YouTube channel, and just spending quality time with family that I don't get to spend a lot of time with usually, because I'm the baby of the family, as they say, and we don't get to see each other that often.
So we'll go over to Jeffrey. Good job, Jed.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeffrey. I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago. Over the past few weeks, I have been just trying to spend time pouring back into the school as of right now. So through the Drama Labs program, through ADG, we're trying to find different artistic projects we can still pursue from a distance. And I'm very excited because some of them are we're finally starting to see the final product. Actually, in a few hours, I'm going to have a meeting and we're finally going to get to see our first dance project pull together. So that's really exciting. And then we're going to be on to our next one. So I hope that you all who are watching this will continue to tune in and see what we're doing, because there's a lot that we're making the best out of this situation with.
I look forward to seeing you. And let's welcome Sophia, who joined us. And hi, Sophia. We're talking about ways in which we're leading during this challenging time, either in our families or with classmates or in our communities. And so I'll turn to Mark and then Peter and then to you, Sophia, okay?
Awesome.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm Mark from Andover. And I've just sort of been doing what I can to help around the house, whether that be mowing the lawn or some other miscellaneous yard work. The other day, I babysat for my aunt's kids who have also been quarantining in Andover because they just got some chicks and they were building a chicken coop. So I was helping out with that, and yeah, just sort of reaching out and connecting with my classmates whenever I can.
That's great. And Peter?
Hi, my name's Peter. I'm from Los Angeles. So my family, obviously, like, we're all spread out now because colleges, Andover, whatever. So it's been super nice to be back here and spend a lot of time together. I was getting kind of cooped up, and I actually signed up to start delivering for Postmates. So I've been doing that for the past few days, just like a couple hours here and then, get out of the house. Everything's very contactless, and I got the mask and the gloves, so I'm all set. But kind of a good way to just get out of the house sometimes and like drive around and see some other things while still staying safe. But besides that, it's been a lot of really nice family time, just cooking, hanging out outside.
Are you wearing those wheelie sneakers that you have there, Peter?
I have not.
Delivering the.
Unfortunately, probably should. I'd probably get some better tips if I did, but you know.
Oh, that's great. It's Sophia. How are you doing?
I'm good. So my name's Sophia. I'm from Medfield, Massachusetts. So what I've been doing over my quarantine is I'm actually working in my uncle's warehouse, packaging like a lot of masks for first responders during the COVID pandemic. So basically we're doing masks and we're also doing t-shirts, which he typically sells on like under usual circumstances. So that's been nice, like keeping busy. I'm doing it with my cousin, which has been a lot of fun. So, and then other than that, just like trying to get outside with the warmer weather coming in Massachusetts, and also kind of like spending time with my brothers too, because it's nice to see them after coming back from school. So yeah, staying busy.
That's great. Well, it goes without saying, we miss you so much here on campus, as you know, and in particular, when the tryouts for the next year's Blue Key Heads takes place. That is always such an epic event, and how you were able to pull this off, and would love to hear how that selection process unfolded for you during this challenging time to select the next Blue Key Heads from the class of 2021. So let's start with you, Jake. What were your, what was that selection process like for you?
So I guess with all that has been going on, there was a lot of uncertainty on like what we would actually do. Like, how can we recreate this really unique experience and bring it to a virtual platform where people are still able to participate and still able to feel like they're like in the moment and part of the community. So that was definitely a difficulty coming into it, but with the help of Mr. Capano and everyone's bright ideas here, we managed to like kind of narrow our selection down and like come up with a method that we figured would be pretty much applicable to almost everyone. And because again, like, we wanted to make sure everyone had a fair shot given no matter the circumstances. And I think overall we accomplished that goal. And so I'm really proud of the way we did that, while also allowing everyone else to join in and view and like hype each other up in the chat. That was really awesome to see. Like, a lot of like my friends that I haven't really gotten to connect with, I like saw their names pop up in the chat, just like cheering on their friends as they were auditioning. That was definitely a big highlight for me, and loved to see all those familiar names like supporting their friends.
Well, for all of you, the way that you regularly share the love for Andover, you are my inspiration for the Cubby episode. So is there a way that you want to, Jackie, maybe pitch in and say how you have been sharing the love or what the selection process was like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So the selection process, it took us so much time to like really come to our decision. We would be on Zoom for the tryouts every day for 2 hours, and then after we'd talk for at least another 2 hours about everything that happened, kind of like going through each person. And in the end, when we came to our like final decisions, we knew that everyone that came out, like it was so amazing for them to like cooperate like with the circumstances that we had that were brought up, but it was definitely like hard to try to mimic exactly what we went through and then give that sort of experience to the class of 21 Blue Key heads. But we think that like given everything that's going on, the way we did it was as close to the real thing as it could have been. But yeah.
What did you, was there anything special that you learned in that selection process? Because this is very familiar to me, as you know, in the serving in the capacity in an admission committee. It's sort of the same thing as figuring out who's the right mix of the class.
Mm-hmm.
And Lily, I don't know if you have any reflections on that selection process and how that went.
Yeah, I think going into it, or just, you know, being a spectator from last year and like the years before, I kind of didn't really know how much thought goes into the selection. I mostly just, you obviously, like most of the school only sees the audition and then from there assumes that that's how we choose like the applicants. But it's, the truth is there's so much more that goes into it. And like Jackie was saying, like that whole week we were on Zoom for hours and hours coming to a decision. And the truth is, like, everyone would have done a great job. So it's really a tough decision to pick the best applicants, because in the end, like, you know, anyone you choose would have done a great job.
Yeah.
But definitely realizing that it's not just like the audition that goes into our decision.
Yeah, that's helpful to know, actually, because of course I only see the auditions, right, as we all do. So it's nice to hear about that deeper reflection. Jed, do you want to talk a little bit maybe?
Yeah, no, I did want to add that I saw when we hosted the Zoom, there were like 100 or 200 kids at a time watching. And I just want to give a shout out to all, there were a lot of alumni. We have a Facebook group chat with all the Blue Key heads and the Blue Key head alumni. And a lot of those, we posted the Zoom link in the group chat, and a lot of those people showed up, whether that was graduates a few years ago or 10, 20 years ago. So
That's
I wanted
cool.
to give a shout out to them.
I love that. I love to hear that. Thank you for that. Hewitt, anything to add about the way you're sharing the love for Andover or the tryouts for Blue Key heads?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I still, like, one thing that's really, I think, going to stick with me from before we even started auditions, when we were in like that really, like, uncertain is a word we've been using a lot lately, but like that really uncertain time where we didn't know like what auditions were going to look like, whether or not they'd be on Zoom or in lower right. And after we started like figuring that out, I was really impressed by just like how this group of people handled it, like how like we balanced, like, yeah, it was a little disappointing that we weren't going to get to like continue that tradition, or we'd be jumping a year of it, or we weren't going to get to like have everything done the way we did it. There was like an overwhelming determination to just have this be like the most fun experience possible for the people auditioning, for us, for the people, like the spectators, because that's kind of what the school needed. So that was I think Jake sent us all a text. We were like, we know we're disappointed. Like, we can handle that. We just need we need to make it the best we can, and that's kind of in our hands now. So I think that really stuck with me. That's and the way, yeah. And the way I've been showing love for Andover is just like the same way. Like, you have to do the best you can to do all the stuff you've been doing at school, at home. Just like show, like, one thing I think is a big part of being a Blue Key is showing up for your peers, showing up for your friends, and like finding every way you can do that, whether it's over Zoom or like over FaceTime or just texting them like, how are you doing? I know this isn't a fun time. Yeah, it's been.
That's great. Jeffrey, how about you? Tell us a
Yeah,
little
no,
about.
I would just want to like bounce off of Stuart's point. Like, such a large part of like what made this role like big is that you show up for like your peers in like as many capacities as possible. And even though like a lot of things aren't happening, I like find that there's a lot of like people still trying to find ways to create community. So like how we had the auditions and like there were a bunch of people in the chat and they developed like their own jokes. So now I will never forget the number 4 for those of you all who crashed my computer typing 4 into the chat. But there's also like other ways, like even later tonight, there's going to be the CAMT dialogues, which have been like a podcast going on weekly, which is really exciting. I encourage everyone to come and join if they can. There's also like, Karen's son's CAMD Scholar presentation will be happening this Friday. And as a CAMD Scholar, I was really scared for like our last 2, who were like, if they were going to get to do their papers, because I know there's like so much work that goes into that. But it's really exciting to know like things like this, we're still finding ways to connect and make sure that it's still happening.
That's great. And Mark?
Yes. I think one of the biggest things I learned with the auditions was that it's really hard to keep a straight face during the auditions. I know that we're all supposed to sort of be pretty stone-faced and like indifferent, but I mean, it just made me really happy, and it was really funny to see a lot of the auditions. And I think as far as spreading the love goes, I'd like to shout out, the class of 21 Blue Key heads, who I know they're doing things like creating an Instagram page, which I'm sure they'll be trying to reach out and connect with through that. And I think, they're hosting their Friday weekly Zoom meetings, just to mimic as best as possible, like the Blue Key Head Friday experience. So yeah, I think I'm really excited to see what they can do with this uncertain time, and how they'll be able to connect and outreach with everyone.
That's great. Peter.
Yeah,
Here's your
I think
reflection.
for me, I think having those auditions was really special because there's sort of a reminder that we still have these traditions and we still get to take part in a lot of these things. I think the biggest downer for me in terms of losing my senior spring was losing out on like a few of the really special traditions. But knowing that I still got to experience one, I think was really special for me. But I also think for a lot of students, being able to tune in and sort of see their community act again was really cool and special. And I think it was like a really good feeling to be a part of that, knowing that kids could tune in several days that week and really just remember what their school is like. It's not a complete distant land yet. And yeah, it was just nice to see everyone's faces and all the spirit again.
That's excellent. And Sophia, let's hear what.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would say I was really impressed with like all the creativity and like originality that I saw in the Zoom auditions for all the class of 21 that did try out. And like, honestly, as we've been saying, like there were a lot of like uncontrollables that like you really have no control over. So like in a way it was really awesome to see how like students were able to like kind of use different props in their house or stuff that they had access to, and kind of like also use like it was just interesting. There were cool like little unique facets about everyone's audition that I think honestly maybe would have not happened if we had done it the traditional way. So there was kind of this element of like surprise and like originality that came out of each audition. So I think it was also like using the whole Zoom app to to organize these auditions was also like a huge growing moment for like our group of 10, but also for like the classes of 21 for like, I mean, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but like learning to use technology in a different way. And like, I mean, I personally never thought it would be possible to like run and coordinate all of these auditions over a computer. So that was awesome to see.
I know this was very challenging, and I applaud you all for the effort that you made, and it's really a testament to your leadership. And I know that you are intimately aware of the impact of a great school like Andover has on developing talents in students, and many times talents they don't know they have. And as you know, what we like to do is see what you're interested in, what students are interested in, and that people are joiners and that they participate and engage, as you so eloquently described the members of the class of 21 in their Blue Key tryouts. And to the extent that you were surprised, let's talk a little bit about what surprised you about your Andover experience. Not just this time, by the way, but maybe reflecting and looking back, what has surprised you about your Andover experience, Jackie? Let's start with you.
I'd say what surprised me the most is probably just looking back to see how much I've grown as a person, both like academically and just in terms of maturity, because coming to a place like Andover, it was like I came in like from public school not really knowing what to expect, like this big beautiful campus, and it taught me so much about discipline, how to kind of time manage, and all the people that I've met from like all over the world has just like shown me new experiences and like really diversified kind of my like friend group and everyone that I go to school with. It's just been amazing to kind of see that drastic change over the years.
And Lily, how about you? What's surprised you about your Andover experience?
Yeah, I definitely think the people is one of the biggest things. Like in terms of, I came from Foxborough, which is a pretty small town where most people are pretty similar to myself. And so coming to Andover, not only are all the people like so unique in their own way, but you also have so much more freedom to have friends from like every different part of campus, whether it be like from the Blue Key Heads and then from your sports team and then from your club or whatever. I definitely think you pull friends from everywhere, which is an amazing, especially just being on campus with everyone all day long. You definitely create friendships that last forever.
Jed, how about you?
No, I was going to say something along the lines of Jackie too. I really agree that my maturity has like shot through the roof in terms of comparing it back to, you know, when I first showed up on campus. And I think too, I was a really shy kid at first when I showed up and came to a house, but I created a true bond with all my friends there, and I continue to live with those kids through my years. And another personal anecdote of senior year, I think, was my journey from JV3 soccer all the way up to varsity starter, because my great friend Keon got injured midway through the season, but I ended up playing in the extra Andover game, and that was really fun for me. I think it was fun to see how willing I was to practice and get better. I was motivated by the extra Andover competition.
That's great. Jake, how about you? What surprised you in your Andover experience?
The biggest thing for me was kind of coming from Andover and like being a new lower, was having the Andover High public school experience, and like kind of how I was really only focused on sports and football. That was like my biggest thing as a freshman at Andover High, was like trying to like stand out of like the big team there. But then I came to Andover and like realized that wasn't the only thing that like you can actually do in high school. And that was a really shocking and like positive experience for me. And like I never would have thought like at Andover High School that like I would have been able to touch so many different facets of a community. And like, for example, like I never would have thought I would have like been writing for the school newspaper, or honestly, I never would have thought like I would have ended up doing something like this. Then when I came to PA and like saw the amount of positivity that the Blue Key Heads brought to me when I like first stepped on campus, like that was something I knew I wanted to try and shoot to achieve when the time came. And I guess just the people too are just, you're surrounded by people who genuinely care about everything that they're doing, and that's something that's like you don't see every day, and that's honestly very inspiring. And I'm just fortunate to be in a community where people care deeply about everyone and everything that they're doing.
Thank you. That's great. Hewitt, how about you?
Yeah, there's a lot to say here, but I'll just I think one thing I'm really grateful for, and something that I kind of had a changing relationship with throughout my time at Andover is how different like my experience at Andover would have like was from what it would have been like what any other high school experience is really. And how like at first I think when I was younger, I was kind of thinking about like all the stuff that was different. Like I was like how I wasn't going to be driving for a while and all this stuff that felt like it was supposed to be a part of like me being a teenager, but kind of the trade-off there was being constant, like one, like getting to be like around my friends constantly and getting to grow up with them like that. I think that was really special. And getting to be kind of challenged at every turn, like in a positive way, academically, socially, like the way that Andover kind of like you never just, I don't think you ever just get things. It's more so like at every turn you have to think something through. You have to be like every experience at Andover, I think grows you as a person. And that's something I'm really grateful for.
That's great. Peter, how about you?
So for me, I think the biggest thing that surprised me is, sounds kind of cliche, but it's me. Like I think I grew, not height-wise, but I think I grew as a person a lot. I look back to myself freshman year, and I honestly, it just doesn't even seem like me anymore. For better, for worse, I just think I'm such a different person, and I think a lot of that is because of the exposure I've had to so many different people. Sort of like what a lot of people have said already, but my friends from home, like I love them, but they're all very similar. And then I come to Andover where I'm so like invested in so many different aspects of the campus and see so many different people. It's where I learn from more than just the same person. And walking around campus like my senior year and knowing I can casually in the path say hi to this person, stop and have a conversation with that person, eat lunch with this person. Like I just never would have thought I'd be doing that freshman year, given that everyone's so different. And I think that Andover has really given me the opportunity to explore who I am and what I'm interested in. And yeah, that's really what I'm surprised about.
Thank you. And Mark, and then we'll go to Jeffrey.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I would say has already been said. I think coming into Andover, I sort of got my work done and did sports, and that was like my only thing, kind of like Jake. But when I came to, in my years at Andover, I sort of branched out, tried some other things. I know Peter and I think it was upper year last year, we danced in the Nutcracker,
Yeah.
Which is something I never would have done if I didn't come to Andover. And we also actually both ran for student body co-president. I was out in the first round. Peter waited a little farther. But I think, I was able to do that and, brush it off with that failure because I think everyone in Andover is so supportive. And yeah, so I've been very grateful to sort of try new things like student council or Blue Key Head or like dance and theater. And so, yeah, I think that's my biggest thing that surprised me most is myself sort of going out and doing those things in my time.
Awesome. Jeffrey, you have the final moment to share. What has surprised you?
Wow. Oh, wow, the grand finale. No.
Oh, yes, indeed.
But for me, I think one of the biggest things that I think I'm also going to carry with me is the fact that I do have an impact on the world around me. So, I'm just going to use this as an example. I think a lot of people on campus know from my lower year that I started off in Carriage House, which wasn't the best of dorms. I'm sorry. There were some things that I wanted to be very different about that experience. But rather than being upset about it and just grudging through the rest of the year, I actually I think a lot of people thought that I became the advocate for Carriage House and hey, if that's what the record shows, I did what I did because my mom and I fought really hard to get the basement redecorated. And I went back my upper year and I found that it actually got redecorated. There were new hardwood floors and the walls were painted and there was this cool glass whiteboard in there. And things like that, even though I won't necessarily get to experience them or that wasn't what it was like when I walked in, it's nice to know that like whoever's coming after me is gonna have like a better experience or a better opportunity than I did. So I take that with me, like even moving forward, and even now, like, hey, this really sucks, but I'm gonna do whatever I can right now to make this the best for whoever's gonna come after.
Yeah.
As Angela Davis said when she visited, we cannot continue defining the length of our lives as the length of a lifetime.
Yes. Very well stated.
There we go.
There we go. There you are. Sophia, welcome
I'm
back.
back. My
Hey.
computer died.
Good job.
My phone.
Never say die. That's it. Keep going. All right. So we were talking about what surprised everybody about their Andover experience, and if you'd like to share a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I'm not sure if this was already said, obviously, but I would say something that really surprised me about my experience was the like student or the relationships that I've established with like a lot of the faculty, like specifically, I would say like coaches, like house counselors, advisors. The faculty is just so genuine, and like I feel like I've made like relationships that I'll be able to uphold for so many years. And like I can always go to them with like any advice or any questions. Like they're always available to talk like on the phone. You can email them, text them, whichever you feel comfortable with. So it's like really great to have those relationships that I'm really honestly feel so confident leaving Andover, knowing that I'll have these people in my lives for a really long time.
That's so sweet and so highly regarded by the faculty, by the way, and staff and administrators, everybody, all the campus adults here. We work here because of, all of you. And I know you've all had to dig deep so often, at least every Friday for sure, if not more than that, in your various activities and sports and performing arts and visual arts and everything you've done. We're so grateful to all of you, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to join so generously in the conversation today. I think we always listen to our students. You're our best leaders, and I so much appreciate the opportunity to be with you. I hope we also all learned a little bit more about one another, as we always do. And I would like to share that while I believe all Andover classes are close, the way the class of 2020 will stay connected in a meaningful way will last forever, I believe. You don't know it yet, but you will remember one another, and you will be closer together because of all you have been through in your shared experience. Remember, try to find your way, your personal way, perhaps, to fall in love with Andover. And while you may feel isolated, you're never alone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jim Ventre, class of 79, interim head of school 15.5, signing off from the Cubby. Let's go Big Blue. Thank you, everybody.
Bye from the Cubby.